The entire shooting range fell silent. "No civilians allowed on the training range." The colonel's voice cut through the air like a blade, but the girl said nothing. She just raised her hand. A soldier quietly placed an old Remington in her grip. "Give her one shot." The coin spun upward. A single gunshot echoed. Nobody was laughing anymore. Fort Bennett, Arizona. Summer training session in full swing. A group of young soldiers practicing long-range shooting, their eyes filled with competitive fire and mocking laughter. At the edge of the range, a small figure in a gray t-shirt, ponytail swaying, old khaki pants, quietly sorting ammunition. Her name was Alina Vega, 26 years old. Volunteer logistics support at the base. Every morning she arrived at 5 a.m., cleaning the shooting range, checking weapon mounts, organizing ammunition. Nobody had ever seen her shoot. Nobody ever asked. One soldier sneered, "You're just logistics. Why are you staring down the scope?" She just smiled, continued writing win angles and heat deviation in her notebook. Once, she picked up a broken M24 with a jammed bolt, disassembled it, fixed it. The sergeant was annoyed. "Put that down. Do you even have a gunsmith license?" But Lieutenant Ramirez noticed her careful movements. Her hand techniques weren't those of an ordinary person. Once she gently lifted a rifle, aimed playfully, then quickly lowered it when she noticed she was being watched. She would unconsciously adjust imaginary windage knobs when the desert breeze picked up. She would glance at mirage patterns and make mental calculations. She would wince when soldiers made basic marksmanship errors. During one frustrating training session, she quietly picked up a spotting scope. Not to look through it, just to hold it, feel its weight, test the focus mechanism with gentle precision. When she noticed Ramirez watching, she quickly set it down. The breaking point came when Colonel Kenneth Rhodes announced a surprise inspection. High-ranking Pentagon visitors were coming. Security was tightened, access restricted. When Alina arrived at her usual time, a military policeman stopped her. "Sorry, ma'am. Classified training exercise today. Civilians stay outside." She nodded politely and walked away. But Lieutenant Ramirez saw something in her eyes as she left. Disappointment. And underneath that, hunger. The demonstration morning arrived with Arizona intensity, temperature climbing toward 100 degrees, no wind, perfect shooting conditions. Colonel Kenneth Rhodes stood like granite, silver hair military precise, a reputation for breaking weak soldiers and building legends from strong ones. "Gentlemen," his voice carried without amplification, "today we demonstrate why Fort Bennett produces the finest marksmen in the United States Army." Pentagon officials and defense contractors watched with detached interest. Alina stood at the perimeter fence, 400 yards away, close enough to see, too far to hear clearly. She watched through binoculars as soldiers took positions. Even from this distance, she could see their mistakes. Incorrect cheek positions, improper breathing, scopes not zeroed for current conditions. The first shooter engaged targets at 600 yards. 3 shots, 2 outer ring hits, 1 complete miss. The second shooter attempted 800 yards, 5 shots, 1 scoring hit. Colonel Rhodes's jaw tightened. During ceasefire, Lieutenant Ramirez glanced toward the fence. Alina was writing furiously in her notebook, recording something, calculating something. He walked over. "What are you writing?" She looked up, startled. "I'm sorry, Lieutenant. I know I'm not supposed to be involved, but..." "But what?" She opened her notebook, pages covered with precise diagrams, calculations, observations. The wind has shifted 15 degrees since the demonstration started. It's now southwest at 8 miles per hour, gusting to 12. The mirage patterns indicate temperature inversion affecting trajectory by 2 inches at 800 yards. Ramirez stared. "How do you know this?" "I've been watching for 8 months, recording everything. Atmospheric conditions here follow predictable patterns." She flipped pages. "Also, Private Johnson's scope is mounted incorrectly. Rear ring is 1/16 inch too high, causing low left impacts." Everything was technically accurate. Master-level analysis from decades of experience. "Where did you learn this?" Alina closed the notebook carefully. "I was taught by someone who believed precision matters more than recognition." The demonstration continued deteriorating. Shot after shot missed. Pentagon officials checked watches. Defense contractors whispered. Colonel Rhodes was not a man who accepted failure. Gentlemen, this performance is unacceptable. We continue until someone demonstrates proper marksmanship standards. During the next break, Alina approached the fence. She caught Ramirez's attention. Lieutenant, I know I have no right to ask this, but would it be possible for me to attempt one shot? Ramirez looked surprised. You want to shoot? Here? Now? I understand it's irregular, but I think I might help demonstrate what your unit is capable of. You think you can outshoot trained soldiers? I don't want to outshoot anyone. I've been preparing for 8 months, learning every characteristic of this range. I understand these conditions better than anyone here. Something in her eyes he hadn't seen before. Not arrogance, not desperation. Something like destiny. What's your background, Alina? Really? Long silence. Then, my father was Luis Vega. The name hit like a physical blow. Luis Vega, legendary Army sniper, Medal of Honor recipient, record holder for longest confirmed kill until 2017. Luis Vega, who died in a training accident when his daughter was 16. You're Luis Vega's daughter? She nodded slowly. I've been carrying his lessons for 10 years, waiting for the right moment to honor them. Ramirez looked back at another soldier preparing for likely failure. Then he made a decision that would change everything. Stay here. Let me talk to the colonel. Lieutenant Ramirez approached Colonel Rhodes during ceasefire. The colonel's face showed grim displeasure. Sir, I have an unusual request. Rhodes turned steel-gray eyes toward him. This better be good, Ramirez. There's a civilian observer who believes she can demonstrate proper marksmanship under these conditions. A civilian? Rhodes's voice dropped dangerously. You want me to allow a civilian to shoot on my range, in front of Pentagon brass, after my soldiers have embarrassed this installation? Sir, her name is Alina Vega. The colonel's expression didn't change immediately. Then slowly recognition dawned. Vega. As in Master Sergeant Luis Vega? His daughter, sir. Rhodes was silent for 30 seconds. That name carried weight. Master Sergeant Luis Vega had saved Rhodes' life in Afghanistan. 2002. A Taliban sniper had Rhodes pinned. 3 soldiers wounded trying to reach him. Vega made an impossible shot from 1,400 yards, 40-mile-per-hour crosswinds, eliminating the threat. Rhodes had been a young captain then. He never forgot the debt. She wants to shoot? Yes, sir. One demonstration shot. Rhodes looked toward the fence where Alina stood. Something in her posture reminded him of her father. Same patient stillness, same quiet confidence. Bring her forward. But if this goes wrong, Ramirez, it's your career too. As Alina approached the firing line, conversation stopped. She walked with unhurried precision, but now something was different. A sense of purpose that transformed her from invisible background to center of attention. Miss Vega, Rhodes said formally, Lieutenant Ramirez tells me you believe you can demonstrate proper marksmanship under current conditions. Yes, sir. What makes you think you can succeed where trained soldiers have struggled? Alina opened her notebook, showing pages of calculations. I've studied this range for 8 months, sir. Every morning, recording atmospheric conditions, temperature variations, wind patterns, mirage characteristics. I understand the challenges here better than anyone present. Rhodes examined her notes. Extraordinary detail. Professional-grade ballistic calculations. Precision that spoke of obsessive dedication. Your father trained you? Every day from age 12 until he died when I was 16, sir. Why haven't you pursued military service? After Dad died, I was invited to join several programs. But they wanted me because of his name. I wanted to prove myself on my own merit, not his reputation. Rhodes understood living in a legend's shadow. What do you propose? Without hesitation, 1,000 yards. Single shot. But not at a paper target. She produced a silver dollar. This belonged to my father. He used it to teach me about precision under pressure. The range fell silent. Pentagon officials stopped whispering. Rhodes examined the worn coin. You want me to throw this and you'll split it with a rifle shot? Yes, sir. That's impossible. Dad always said impossible just means no one has done it yet. This could redeem the day or make it infinitely worse. Lieutenant Ramirez, select a rifle for Miss Vega. Ramirez chose an old Remington 700. Reliable, well-maintained. Alina accepted the weapon with reverence. Complete function check in 20 seconds. Her hands moved with unconscious precision. She adjusted the scope with tiny movements. Checked bolt action. Examined the barrel crown. What ammunition? Ramirez asked. Federal gold medal match, 168 grain Sierra Match King, if available. It was. Alina selected one cartridge, examining it carefully before loading. She took position at the 1,000-yard line. The rifle became part of her body. Breathing slowed to measured rhythm. Rhodes walked 30 yards forward, holding the silver dollar. Are you ready, Miss Vega? Ready, sir. Rhodes drew back his arm. This throw will determine whether your father's training was worth 10 years of patience. The coin tumbled upward, spinning in sunlight. 30 feet, 40 feet, beginning its arc downward. Time suspended. Alina's finger pressed the trigger with control from 10,000 hours of practice. The shot echoed across mountains like thunder. The silver dollar, spinning midair, suddenly became two pieces, each tumbling separately to the desert floor. Complete silence for 15 seconds. Then Colonel Rhodes began clapping, slowly, then with increasing intensity. Applause spread, everyone on their feet. Alina set the rifle down carefully, tears streaming, but smiling. Rhodes picked up both coin halves. The break was clean, perfectly centered. Your father would be proud. He removed his unit insignia and pinned it to her shirt. You don't represent this unit. This unit represents you. The next morning, Alina did not arrive at 5 a.m. Her routine, maintained 8 months without fail, was broken. Lieutenant Ramirez found a package on his desk. Inside was spent brass from a federal gold medal cartridge. Engraved, "Honor needs no audience. Excellence speaks in whispers." A letter accompanied it. Lieutenant Ramirez, thank you for giving me the chance I had been preparing for without knowing it. Yesterday wasn't about proving I could shoot. It was about proving 10 years of carrying my father's lessons had meaning. I'm leaving Fort Bennet, not running from attention, but because I've made peace with the question following me since 16. Am I good enough to honor his memory? The answer is yes. Not because I can split coins at 1,000 yards, because I spent 10 years learning discipline, patience, precision without needing anyone to notice. The real lesson my father taught wasn't about shooting. It was about becoming someone who does excellent work whether anyone watches or not. Sincerely, Alina Vega. Colonel Rhodes kept both coin halves in his office, mounted in a wooden frame. The shot that proved impossible is just another word for unpracticed. Word spread throughout the military faster than official reports. The story grew, but the core remained. A quiet civilian reminded an entire installation what true excellence looked like. 3 weeks later, Private Johnson approached Ramirez. Sir, we want to start a club, the One-Shot Club. What's the purpose? To remember we should never judge capabilities until someone has a fair chance, and to hold ourselves to Miss Vega's standard. The club started with 5 members. Within 6 months, it spread to 12 installations. 3 rules. Give everyone one chance to show capability. Excellence doesn't require an audience. The person you underestimate most might save your life. Ramirez was promoted to captain. He instituted policies giving logistics personnel opportunities to cross-train if they showed interest. 17 civilians took advantage the first year. 3 joined military. 2 became instructors. 1 developed improved ballistic calculations adopted Army-wide. Rhodes never learned where Alina went. 2 years later, he received a Montana postcard. No message. Just mountains and a return address for a precision rifle company. The company specialized in custom rifles for law enforcement and military. Exceptional reputation. Lead designer listed only as A. Vega. He wasn't surprised. In his final report, Rhodes wrote, "Excellence is not always found where we expect. The most valuable team members often contribute quietly, consistently, without seeking recognition. True marksmanship, like leadership, is measured not by applause received, but by precision maintained when no one is watching." The report became required reading at Army War College. But the most important legacy wasn't written in documents. It was written in changed perspectives of everyone who witnessed one quiet woman prove that impossible is just another word for unprepared. Alina didn't need recognition to validate excellence. She needed 10 years of preparation and 30 seconds of opportunity. This world judges quickly, by appearance, by position, by volume or silence. But real excellence develops in quiet moments, through countless unseen practice hours. It grows in shadows, away from spotlights, until needed most. The most dangerous assumption: the quiet person has nothing valuable to contribute. The most expensive mistake: dismissing potential because someone doesn't fit our preconceptions. Excellence rarely comes in expected packages. The person who could save your project might be the unnoticed intern. Your biggest solution might come from the teammate who speaks least. The most valuable insight might be offered by someone watching, learning, preparing while others perform. Before you decide who belongs, remember Alina Vega. Before you assume limitations, remember the perfectly split silver dollar. Before you dismiss the quiet observer, remember they might carry 10 years of lessons. Waiting to prove impossible is just unpracticed. Give people their shot. You never know who might be your organization's Alina Vega. The most powerful people are often the ones you notice least, until they take their shot, and when they do, the whole world listens.